Here on the ground, change happens fast. Problems feel frequent and urgent. It's loud and anxiety runs high. From a satellite view, the Earth looks the same as it did thousands of years ago. We've been here before. Let's learn from our past and shoot for a better future.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of A Satellite View. I'm Todd Mikkelson, your host, speaking at you from Sunday, November 16th, 2025 in the space and time continuum. We ended up having quite a week. I said if the administration could hold out till the end of the week, I would do a Casem's Countdown of the things that are going to bite Trump in the ass and bring him down. Something to that effect. I don't know. I did write down a list. We'll see. It's always hard to do the Casem thing because it takes so much time that it comes to recording time and it's like, let's go. We just got to go. Otherwise, it's not going to happen today, you know? So I actually had that plan before these Epstein emails came out. So I don't know. It is 4 o'clock or so Central Time right now here. And for all I know, the regime has crumbled. It's changing fast. I did a special report this last Tuesday because everyone was losing their mind over the Democrats going ahead and giving enough votes in the Senate to pass the Republican CR bill, continuing resolution, to open the government. Everybody was so elated about the successful elections from the Tuesday before, which is now almost 2 weeks ago. And everyone thought that we just ruined our momentum. I kind of felt like it was a different thing. And I'm not saying it was by design. I'm not trying to stick up for the 7 Democrats and 1 independent that ended up going along with the Republicans to pass the CR in the Senate. By the way, included in that CR is trying to get rid of hemp drinks. So there are hemp drinks that have it's like pot drink, and you can buy them at liquor stores. And I've known people who have partaken in them, and they say they're great. It's different than alcohol, but it's kind of an imbibe kind of thing. And there's a big industry now for these hemp drinks. Private business, big industry that I thought the GOP, which now stands for Guardians of Pedophiles, I thought that they were on the side of the free market and big corporations and companies. Well, it seems that Mitch McConnell, who's barely alive at this point, seriously, I'm not exaggerating, he gets paid millions of dollars by alcohol industry companies. So they got him to put in the continuing resolution a ban on hemp drinks. That's how crappy this deal is. It's a horrible deal. Many people are going to lose their health insurance. You've heard all these things. It does, however, give people SNAP benefits until September of 2026. Okay, maybe that's a good thing. But still, everyone was like, no, we need to see how bad Trump is. We got to stick together. Okay, here's what happened now. The Senate passed their own version of their own continuing resolution that included this hemp drink thing. So it's maybe even a worse deal than the House's deal. But Trump and Mike No Johnson is his new name. I heard I didn't make that up. Somebody else did. But it used to be Mike Little Johnson. Now it's Mike No Johnson. Both he and Trump were pushing the Senate to just go ahead and pass the House's version, because then the House would not have to repass it. So when the House passes one version and the Senate passes another version, they have to come together and pass the same version before it gets sent to the president's desk. That all happened on Tuesday. But because the Senate made up their own continuing resolution and passed it, it forced Mike No Johnson to bring the House back into session, which then forced him to swear in Adelita Grijalva, which then made her be the 218th signature on the petition to bypass Mike No Johnson and have the House have to vote on releasing the Epstein files, the entire Epstein files, not what's already been released. in addition to what's already been released. And then that also put the Oversight Committee back in business, the House Oversight Committee. And that's why then the Democrats in the Oversight Committee in the House were able to release these emails. They chose 3 to release on Wednesday, right away when the House came back into session. One of them was the one about Epstein writing to Ghislaine Maxwell that Trump knew. Of course he knew about the girls. He spent hours with one of the survivors at my house. They picked 3 very shocking emails to release. They were unable to do that until the House came back into session. The House came back into session because the Senate ended up passing their own CR, which triggered the House to have to get called back in. And I'm not saying that these 7 Democrats and 1 independent, I'm not, again, not trying to stick up for them. I don't know that they did it by design. They might have, in which case, I don't know, would they be heroes? I don't know. Because this is a horrible deal. It's going to still hurt a lot of people. But it only goes till the end of January, and then the whole argument has to start again. So, how did this week go? Is anyone even remembering? Is anyone even talking anymore about those 7 Democrats and 1 independent that broke from the party and went along with the Republicans? Is anyone even talking about that anymore? Because we've all been talking about the Epstein files, which of course will be number 1 on Casey Kasem's chart of the things that are going to bring down Trump, right? Also, you can go on to speculate if you're a naysayer, and I'm not criticizing you if you are, where you always think the worst thing. You always think of the worst thing. I'm somebody who thinks of the worst thing that can happen so that I can prepare for it. Okay, I don't know that that's a good trait. It's helped me, but it's also given me a lot of stress. Has it taken years off the end of my life? Possibly. So we all have our things. So I'm not trying to criticize you if you are that person who looks at the negative side of things and considers it. Even if this vote is taken in the House, and they're saying anywhere from like 40 to 100 Republicans are going to go along with it. They're going to abandon Trump and go along with it. Then it has to go to the Senate. The Senate has to pass it. They need to find 10 or so Republicans to vote for it, or maybe 8 for it to pass the 60. Just a handful, but either way, if it passes in the Senate and then it goes to Trump, and let's say Trump decides that he can't veto it. Now, either way, if the House votes on it and it doesn't pass, everyone's going to be mad at the Republicans. We're going to do a segment at some point here about how MAGA is completely crumbling right now. A lot of evidence of that just in the last few days. And it's all because of this Epstein stuff. There are other things, too, that are on Casey's countdown that they're pissed at. Yeah, we're going to go through some of that later. Let's say now Trump decides he has to sign it so that the DOJ has to be ordered to release all of the Epstein files. I'm talking about videotapes. I'm talking about photographs, not just these emails. They're releasing more and more. Once the Democrats released those 3 emails, that forced the Republicans, James Comer, to then go ahead and release all of the subpoenaed emails from the Oversight Committee, because James Comer is the Republican chair. So they then released the 20,000 emails. People are going through them. More and more are coming out. And these are just from the Epstein estate. So let's say the naysayers say, well, even if Donald Trump goes along with this and the DOJ is supposedly supposed to release these, what if Pam Bondi still refuses, or Donald Trump tells her to refuse, and the DOJ still doesn't release them? We're never going to see the Epstein files. I need to remind you, the Epstein files are worldwide. Do you think the only copy is the ones that Pam Bondi had on her desk in February? One of the things on Casey Kasem's countdown of the things that are going to bring Trump down is the fall of Vladimir Putin. You think he has a lot of compromat that's also included in the Epstein files? A lot of other countries. It's not just people in the United States who knew Epstein. He was intertwined with a lot of other countries. I don't have time to go into all of that, but there is a lot of evidence that's actually been out for a long time about Epstein, and it's not just this sex ring and sex trafficking. It's money laundering. It's giving weapons to bad countries, dictatorships. Epstein helping countries make deals to do really bad things. It's huge. Otherwise, Trump would be releasing it. He would say, just go ahead and release it. I'm not scared. A lot of Republicans like Marjorie Taylor Greene are saying, I don't think that the president's going to be implicated. Well, if he's not going to be implicated, why is he acting so guilty? Why won't he just release the files? He could release everything. But he's not. And he's doing everything he can, bringing Boebert into the Situation Room to try and urge her to take her name off of the petition. Wow. Yes, he's acting very guilty. I mentioned the fall of Putin. It's one of the things on Casem's Countdown. You keep hearing about Russia keeps hitting Ukraine, bombing Kyiv. You don't hear about, let's go through the things of the last 7 days. A domino effect begins in Russia. Putin can't stop it. Russia on strike, no salaries. Prices are rising. Russia in the dark, a bunch of large cities without power. That's from 6 days ago on Anna from Ukraine. I'm going to go through 3 of the sources, and I'm just going to give you the headlines of what their videos are on their YouTube channels over the last week. Putin lacks army resources. Russia's manpower crisis explodes. No internet, no fuel. Russia is collapsing. Panic in St. Petersburg. Internet down. Other cities as well. Russia is out of money. The economy is collapsing. That's from 3 days ago on Anna from Ukraine. Putin shocked. Flamingos strike Russia's strategic sites from 2 days ago. Novorossiysk, whatever town that is blown up. Another town I can't pronounce, on fire. Panic and chaos in Russia. Russia is shocked. Shops are closed. Food prices are out of control. That's just from the last 1 week from Anna from Ukraine. The military show has like 20 headlines from the last week. Self-destructing tanks, Russian tanks getting killed by their own armor. Putin's running out of time in Ukraine. Ukraine is taking down Russia's missiles. Double blow on Putin. Ukraine strikes deep as China abandons Russia. That's from 4 days ago. And this is on the Military Show YouTube channel. Russia's air defense failed. Ukraine strikes through. Okay, so their air defense is down. One of the things that another source says is that Russia's Navy loses their last safe harbor. That's just from today. What else is there? Ukraine hunts Putin. Putin fears death is coming as Ukraine drones zero in for the kill. One town is costing Putin everything. Russia just did something insanely stupid and got a bunch of their own guys killed. Ukraine's military surge stunts NATO. Nobody saw this coming. So many headlines here. There's too many. But China is abandoning Russia. Ukraine's will own the sky in 2026. Changes in Sweden's anti-Russia jet is going to be unleashed in Ukraine. Let's go to Jason J. Smart. Over the last 7 or so days, war in Moscow, Kremlin's civil war after 16 refineries destroyed, Putin's war, economy collapses after all these towns I can't pronounce, a strike in this other town. Putin's war hits the wall. Putin eradicates officials as FSB cannibalizes the Kremlin. A lot of videotape of leaders in Russia being arrested by the FSB, which used to be the KGB. Ukraine's drones expose Russia's failing economy. The big headline is Russia is on fire. Russia's shadow fleet collapse. Russia's shadow fleet disaster is exposed. Kremlin crisis. Flamingo missile hit oil port. You hear a lot about these Flamingo strikes. And then the Russian fleet is falling apart. Russia's Navy loses its last safe harbor. This is Putin collapsing. Putin, I believe, is not going to let Trump stay. If Putin goes down, Trump goes down. Trump is already going down. We'll talk about some more things. I want to go through this list of Casem's Countdown because it's not just the Epstein files that are coming after Trump. MAGA is collapsing. Everybody in MAGA is talking about MAGA is dead. The MAGA is dead. The MAGA is dead. Let's take a short break and come back and talk about some of these things. You're listening to A Satellite View. We'll be right back. Satellite View. Find our website, satelliteviewpodcast.com. Find our YouTube page by going to YouTube and searching for Satellite View Podcast. And become a member. Subscribe. It's free. I'm going to get right back into it. I know I'm supposed to tell you to go find me on Instagram at Todd Mikkelson, and also find me on Blue Sky and Twitter at Todd Mikkelson. I know I'm supposed to say those things, but I'm going to skip over those for now, and we're going to move right into... I want to read to you some writing that Ben Meiselas from the Midas Touch did, because I think it's a really good and pretty concise report about what is happening right now with the collapse of MAGA. People saying, quote unquote, MAGA is dead. Here's Ben Meiselas. I've covered this moment for years. I've watched MAGA shrug off criminal indictments, embrace fascism, cheer abuses of power, and excuse the most vile behavior imaginable from Donald Trump, but I've never seen them like this. This past week, something broke inside the MAGA base, and the proof is everywhere. Some Trump supporters are literally declaring that MAGA movement is dead. Others are posting videos, burning their MAGA hats. Influencers who built entire online identities around Trump are suddenly calling him repulsive. Longtime supporters are walking away in disgust. The fracturing of MAGA is here. It started with Trump's disastrous interview with Laura Ingraham. Expecting a friendly platform, he instead detonated his own base. In one breath, he said he wanted to bring 600,000 Chinese students to America universities, something that had MAGA influencers melting down in real time. In the next breath, he raved about how much he loved the H-1B visas because Americans don't have the skills or talent for many jobs. MAGA was furious. You could feel them starting to unravel. This was when many of them began using the word betrayal. Then came the latest Epstein Files drama, the 20,000 plus emails, the panic, the meltdown. Trump's reaction didn't calm his base. It terrified them. He couldn't answer simple questions. He snapped, "Quiet! Quiet!" at a reporter who dared to ask why the files shouldn't be made public. That was quite a video clip. It's on the airplane on Friday night on Air Force One. He started accusing Democrats of hoaxes no one believes, and then, unbelievably, he went after one of MAGA's own. He excommunicated Marjorie Taylor Greene, one of MAGA's most loyal soldiers, for simply calling for the Epstein files to be released. But the moment that truly snapped something inside the MAGA base was what came next. Trump posted one of the most vile, cruel things he's posted in years, an attack on Congressman Thomas Massie regarding his late wife who died of cancer. Even for Trump, it was beyond the pale. MAGA supporters who had cheered Trump's cruelty when it was directed at others suddenly saw it turn back toward one of their own, and they snapped. It goes on for quite a bit, and he gives a lot of separate cases of MAGAs losing it, and basically saying the MAGA movement is dead in so many words. Now let's do a little bit more on Casey Kasem's countdown of the things that are going to bring Trump down this week. What about war crimes in the Caribbean? What about waging war with Venezuela? Reporting, what is it called? Operation Southern Spear. Can you just see Pete Hegseth trying to be... I'm introducing today Operation Southern Spear, all right? Stop laughing, dude. I'm serious, man. This is serious, okay? I'm the War Department guy. What am I? I'm the Lord of War. No, shut up, you guys. I'm serious. It's Operation Southern Steer. Is it steer? Yeah, because Trump's talking about beef, right? It's Southern Steer? Southern Spear? Well, oh, because it's a war. Right. Okay, no, stop laughing, dudes. I'm totally serious, man. Can you just see Pete Hegseth trying to do his big announcement of Operation Southern Spear? Do you think the Maggots like that? You think America likes that? Okay. I want to read to you another thing on Casem's Countdown. What would this be? Number 4. Number 4 on our countdown is by an artist that was introduced to America about 3 years ago. The guy with the beard who almost never speaks, Jack Smith. A federal appeals court's order giving Emmaline Cannon 60 days to decide whether to release Jack Smith's still secret report on Trump's handling of classified documents matters far beyond the case itself. This is from Newsweek. At stake is not only public access to a key account of how Trump allegedly tried to obstruct the retrieval of government secrets from his Mar-a-Lago home, but also the broader question of how much power a single judge has to withhold information of national significance. The ruling tests the balance between judicial discretion, transparency, and accountability at a moment when Trump was poised to return to the presidency. And the report may represent the last official record of one of the most consequential investigations in modern American history. This is Judge Emmaline Cannon, who won't release Jack Smith's second part of his report, which deals with Donald Trump stealing classified information and keeping it in Mar-a-Lago. Even before Jack Smith was hired as the special counsel, a very prominent prosecutor, Julie Edelstein, she was a prosecutor on the case when the raid happened at Mar-a-Lago. Somebody asked her, what if this wasn't Donald Trump? What if this was just an ordinary citizen? She said, if it was an ordinary person, we'd arrest him tomorrow. She said that on the night that the FBI pulled out armfuls of information from Mar-a-Lago. And we all know that Donald Trump used this information to sell it to other countries. Top secret, classified information. Here's another thing. The Epstein files, there's so much being revealed, and it's happening so fast. First of all, 72% of these emails mentioned Donald Trump. Donald Trump was mentioned 1,670 times, 3 times more than anybody else, for sure. Also, it's been revealed that Trump killed an ongoing key investigation going on in the Southern District of New York on the Epstein files. He said these victims are not credible. So again, going against the survivors, who, by the way, are going to have another press conference this coming Tuesday, which is also the day that most people speculate a vote in the House to release the Epstein files will be held. So you thought last week was big? Yeah. Robert Garcia, he's the ranking in the, not oversight committee. Anyway, one of the major committees. He's doing a great job. And he said, we're just getting started. As you could see, the Democrats only released 3 emails on Wednesday. They knew that would cause plenty of stir. And if they knew it or not, it caused the GOP to release the other 20,000 or so, 23,000 emails, 72% of which mentioned Donald Trump. Also, I want to point out that I've been saying things like Donald Trump is going to be cut off. He's not going to be impeached. He's certainly not going to make it another 3 years, even if physically he's not going to. Keith Edwards, he's got a show on YouTube that's good. He does a good job. He said, people were speculating on Friday night, I think, that Donald Trump is going to resign tonight. Some people were saying that, apparently. I was astonished to even find that out, because he's obviously never going to resign. And that's what Keith Edwards said. He said he's only going to leave if it's by natural causes, and we all know what that means, or being dragged out by the military. That's the first time I've heard in that tier of media somebody say Donald Trump may be dragged out of the White House by the military. The military may stop this administration. People are starting to talk about it. One way, and really the only way right now, that the military could tear him out of there is if there was something wrong with the election. That is something that Joe Biden signed as an executive order before he left. Why did Joe Biden sign that? Because Joe Biden knows that the 2024 election, yes, it was rigged. Elected officials are now saying the system is broken and rigged, and it needs to be rebuilt. Kamala Harris said that a couple months ago. Are you going to run for office right now? You know, I don't think I want to be, the system is completely broken and I don't want to be in it right now. And then she said, it's up to us. We have to think about how we want to rebuild America. What kind of America do we want? Elected officials are now saying the system is broken. It's rigged. It needs to be rebuilt. It has been broken and rigged at least since the 1980s. And now Keith Edwards is saying it as well. It's being more and more widespread. By the way, one of the things on Casem's Countdown of the things that can bring down Donald Trump this week is his own health crisis. One of the things Keith Edwards said is natural causes could stop him from being president. I hope that's not it, because that would mean that J.D. Vance might get sworn in for a few minutes. J.D. Vance needs to go down as well. He knows about all this stuff. Also, another thing on Casem's Countdown, tariff money is already invested. The Supreme Court is on the cusp of saying, Donald Trump, you need to pay back the tariff money. You know, these tariffs were unconstitutional. And Donald Trump is saying, there is no tariff money. It's already been spent. Also, there are reports about the SNAP reserve money that everybody was saying, hey, we have this money, let's tap into it because the government is closed. Let's tap into our SNAP reserves. Apparently that's gone as well. Doge, you remember Doge? Elon Musk, wow, it seems like years ago. Remember how he broke into the Department of Records or something like that? Everybody was really worried about it back then, about how he could find the ways of allocating funds, take that away from Congress. The SNAP reserves are gone. The tariff, if there has been money coming in from the tariffs, it's supposed to be put into the Treasury. Donald Trump is saying, no, that's not there. We've already spent it. You spent it on what? Is that going to surface as a criminal act? I mean, I think we're going to be talking about Donald Trump for years to come after he's dead. And I think there's going to be, I don't know, I think Casem's Countdown might be, again, going all the way up to the top 40. Here's a countdown of the top 40 things that are going to bring Donald Trump down to justice, even though he's dead. Now, things are completely upside down from where they were 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago was before these elections, where the Democrats overperformed overwhelmingly, and everybody was elated about that. And then everyone lost their minds for a few minutes when the Senate went along with the GOP and passed that continuing resolution. But that triggered the House to have to come back into session, which triggered the swearing in of Adelita Grijalva and also triggered those 3 emails being released by the Democrats in the Oversight Committee from the subpoenaed emails from the Epstein estate. This is not from the Epstein files. This is a separate source coming from the Epstein estate. Ghislaine Maxwell seems to have her own bunch of stuff that she was leaking to the Wall Street Journal. She's trying to, see if she can get a commutation of her sentence or a pardon. If she does not get that, what may she release? And then, of course, a vote for the DOJ to release everything from the FBI investigation into the Epstein mess dating back years and years and years. A lot of information. The FBI went into his house many years ago now and pulled out armfuls of videotapes, photographs, all kinds of information. That's going to be voted on in the House on Tuesday, and Republicans are going to have to decide how they want to be seen in history and by their constituents, where their political career will go, possibly if their political career is unsalvageable and they need to vote their conscience and their morality, if they have any. So the week before last was very fun and interesting. This last week was, again, fun and interesting. And next week's going to be more of the same. I, to tell you the truth, think that it's okay to be done with this. It's okay to forget about the news because it's almost getting boring to you and me because we know Donald Trump's guilty of all this stuff. We know there's a huge cabal going into some of the biggest, most famous people in politics, in show business, in music industry, in everything in these Epstein files. We've known it for a long time. It's almost getting boring at this point that we're still talking about it, but it's also finally looking like possibly justice is coming. And that is quite a pleasure to witness finally. So as you can see, we are pushing through this. We are making it through. We've made it this far. Let's keep going. Let's you and I stick together, help each other get through this. Be aware that we might find out things that will be very disturbing, very gut-wrenching to us. It's okay to shield yourself from some of the information. Some photographs and videos are probably going to be like something we can't imagine at the moment. These are children that were being raped. I don't want it in my head, and it's okay to not put it in your head. It's okay to shield yourself from taking in some of this information because I think it's just going to be so vile and it's going to be unbelievable that it is a part of the human experience on planet Earth right now. And so kind of get yourself ready for some very shocking things. Things could get a little weird. These maggots are going to be super pissed at Donald Trump. We saw what these maggots did on January 6th. Now, of course, their ire will be turned to a different place. But I don't know what's going to happen. These people have a lot of guns. Apparently, people are gathering at the White House for like another sort of demonstration gathering. There's more gatherings scheduled, I think, for the 22nd of November, sort of like the No Kings thing. It's going to keep going on like this, but we're starting to see it crumble. We're starting to see the cement crack at the base. And we're starting to see the, not just possibility, but probability of the complete dismantling of Donald Trump and his whole regime. And that certainly is a glory. It's much needed, but there still could be rough times ahead. So let's stick together, support each other. I thank you so much for being here with me on A Satellite View. I will speak at you again next
week. You've been listening to A Satellite View with Todd Mikkelson. Go to toddmickelson.com for links and more information.